Europeans. Spawning up here in the top position, he is REYNOR.
And in the bottom right, in the blue, for Team Liquid, the young corporal, the little corporal, he's Clem. You know what? And I understand it. REYNOR, he's such a good player. He, especially with his Zergling control, is reminiscent of another Korean, of a player who shall not be named, but is a Korean. So I understand saying, yeah, he's a Korean. Like, he might as well be. He's as good as Koreans in their heyday. But he's not. He is the man of pizza. He's the man who judges pizza on Twitter. Actually, that was a fun competition I believe Clash put on. Where he's like, where REYNOR was like, send me where they had him send. They had people send in their worst pizza ideas to REYNOR, and he had to rank them.
Oh my goodness! Like, okay, so if you want to put REYNOR on tilt, just tell him about pineapple on pizza. I think that's going to be the best way.
Wait, no, we're not talking about the weird Swedish banana pizzas.
No, you know what? I'm about to be controversial here. I like those, mainly because I'm like a banana fiend.
But like, here's the thing: pineapple on pizza makes sense. It's sweet, it's savory. You have the acid with the protein of the like it makes sense. Banana and like a garlic sauce on, I think it's like what banana and like a white sauce. That's just weird. Like that is, I mean, sure, but like that is not a pizza by any way, shape, or form. Like at least pineapple makes a little bit of sweet, savory. Okay, there is a logic behind that. Not banana, garlic, whatever. Like that just what? No, please, no, don't do this. Don't do this to me, Sweden. Like. You produced you definitely produced some great StarCraft players in the past. You provide a wonderful home for DreamHack, but don't do me like that, Sweden. Like that is full tilt. That is full tilt inducing.
Okay. Don't worry, guys. Like any pizza you want, you can do. I think there's actually still the pizza pie tournaments as well, where Starkiller usually wins a ton of them. But coming back to the game, we do got the Reaper getting taken down here, so Clem being a little bit way too aggressive. And yeah, I hope REYNOR doesn't watch this VOD either, because he'll probably ban us from Italy.
You know what? That's fair. Yeah, the best part of when I was in Italy was, you know, I was younger, whatever. I was a student and I didn't have a lot of money. I'm still a student, but you know, I was a student then too. And what the best part about that was when you're traveling, you can get like a big pizza for like a meal for like €5. You get a pizza margarita, €5 at almost all the cafes. And yeah, you know what? Could I have gotten something better? Absolutely. But I was trying to be frugal and make sure I could, you know, instead spend for like admission into museums and whatever. So ate a lot of pizzas, a lot of pizza margarita, but it was €5 each, so pretty dang cheap, all things considered. And you know, that's the benefit. Of course, technically, you know, the pizza was not invented in Italy.
I did hear about this.
It was invented in New York, and then of course you had the pizza margarita afterwards, and it was kind of co-opted by Italians in actual Italy, but it was invented by Italian Americans. So, as much as Italians do have claim to that, and the modern Italian pizza is a Italian thing, or the pizza margarita, the Italian style of pizza is a thing. And at this point, well, not exactly. It's not the pure Italian creation that you may think it is. But do we have? Is that a 2-1-1? It is not. Okay, just the barracks is hidden in the far back of the base here, which is an interesting positioning. But again, it's not 2-1-1. It's just standard opener.
Okay, so what I like about this for Clem is we do have that Hellbat. This is a Hellbat timing. It's a little bit more delayed so that he can get Stim kind of started up, and that's why he's not being as aggressive with these Hellions. And like, this is a very committed push out of him. He's going to come in with Stim. He's got the additional Marines, and yeah, REYNOR has seen this, so he's thrown down the Baneling Nest. The lair started up immediately as well. He could probably throw down an Evo chamber or two as well, because Clem is going to be kind of sacrificing some of those +1 upgrades in order to make this work. But
yep, so 2 more barracks are on the way. Of course, with the 3rd base, that makes a lot of sense. And we do have 7 queens on the map, so honestly, I don't think REYNOR takes too much damage to this. Yeah, adding those Marines is going to be useful. And it looks like there was a Hellion drop attempting to find its way on into the main base here to morph into Hellbats, but no, that has been moved away, as now we do have the Hellbats morphing in. It is 4, and oh no, 4 Halbats will get on top of these queens as well, but there are enough transfuses, and oh, what a nice wall. What a nice wall. Now, these Hellbats in the main base, actually all 4 of them will go on as Clem does elevator, but I don't think that's gonna, well, actually, you know what? The queens are not there yet, but now the Baneling's coming on in. REYNOR says, get out here. Get out of my main base. Do not do this. Do not fast go. Do not collect $200. And yeah, this is not gonna work at all. REYNOR, he's now up 20 supply. He smashed this aside. And mutas are on the way behind this. Mutas that really, realistically, Clem does not have any defense for at the moment. Now, of course, he has the time to get his missile turrets, but, you know, he's going to be looking to get that 3rd base up, looking to get himself to recoup the losses that he's taking from doing no damage. Does that make sense? Yeah, that works.
Yep. Luckily, though, he does have that 3rd base, so if we take a look at that income advantage, it's not really in REYNOR's favor. You know, we see that line kind of dropping around when mules get dropped. But luckily for Clem, his production is really starting to ramp up right now. He's got those additional racks coming in. He's got 5 out there. And, you know, he still has that war machine economy powering up. So he's going to be pretty safe versus this. But the mutas, I think that the problem with it is that you do need to get those missile turrets down, or at least keep some of those Marines at home, because the mutas are pretty much there to slow down any forward progress that you make.
Well, you got to remember, when we talk at advantage, and yeah, you know, Clem, he's got his 3rd base, he has mules, not that big of an economic disadvantage at the moment, but because the Hellbat pushed it like nothing, that provides REYNOR with a nice timing. It allows him to just hit that drone button, to not really have to worry about building army, about making sure he survives the next push, and has to recoup the damage he's taken. No, he can just make his 4th base is secure. He can focus on spreading creep. He can focus on these timing advantages that he has for himself. As now Clem will be able to remove one of these queens, which is pretty nice, delaying the creep sped as much as he can. But look at this. I mean, REYNOR, he's on 80 workers. He has been pretty much untouched. 4 bases on the way. 1-1 is on the way. A bunch of mutas on the way here as well. And REYNOR has pretty much everything he could hope for. 5th base now on the way as well. And there has been no push, not really, before Baneling speed happens, which is a nice timing that Terrans can hope to hit sometimes when the Zerg player goes for mutas. Oh, I'm going to hit before Baneling speed, and that works out. But that's not what's going to happen here. Now, a couple of these Banelings will attempt to morph and will be unsuccessful, so maybe that's something that Clem can have working for him here. As he does get on top of these Evo chambers, which means that, REYNOR's got to be careful. We have no Banelings on the map.
This is a beautiful timing here from Clem. He finds the perfect location to get in. Even getting the queens, the drones are going to go down. We do have a small Widowmine drop going into the main base, but that's not really going to be anything. Denying +1 attack and defense. The Widowmine's actually going to get a good connection on the Mutos and Mill. This looks so good for REYNOR, but everything just started to fall apart. Oh, man.
Yeah, you know what? We're like, you know what? REYNOR is in such a good spot. He's been droning uncontested. He has his tech. He has... Okay, 1-1 gets denied. And even losing Carapace is incredibly impactful, but losing Attack 2 is really problematic. 8 more workers go down with this Widowmine drop that or I guess it was a run-by moving on into the 3rd base here.
You can't see
38 workers have died. Like, this is traumatic. This is terrible here for REYNOR. As Clem, hey, Pastor, do me a favor. Look at the supply.
I am 172 to 122, and he couldn't actually clean up those Widow Mines either for the longest time. He had to morph an observer specially made for it, and now this is the momentum that Clem needs to keep up, because look at that production tab. 8 lings. He's remaking 1-1 upgrades while Clem is about to hit +2 in just a second here. He's going to have Tunneling Claws. He's got his 4th base down. This is literally like an epic rap battle between these two, and I mean, REYNOR is just getting smoked. He needs the beautiful Baneling connections here. Not good enough.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. The army on the left-hand side is enough. Each army that Clem has got is enough to win the fight, and well, there's one on each side. So REYNOR will just not be able. Will be forced to take a bad trade wherever he goes. And you know, it should be said, REYNOR's supply is equalizing just a little. It's now only a 40 supply gap instead of like a 70 supply gap that it was just recently. But REYNOR will lose his 5th base. He does not have 1-1 is not even done. So this will be 2-2 versus 0-0. And we talk about upgrades being impactful. Well, a 2 upgrade lead is terrifying. I mean, the single upgrade lead, 3-3 versus 2-2, that you see in this style pretty often, is enough to push the Terran over the edge. Now, this is just going to be a really bad situation for Clem to be in here, as I'm running out of words to describe just how far ahead Clem is in this game, as you know. It's his 4th base done, 5th base is on the way. Yeah, the mutas may be able to remove that drop, but we do have the army of Clem. It's going to stim on into the left-hand side as well. This base is just going to, well, it's going to run into some extreme duress. Bailey's not even getting the best connections here. Oh, actually, you know what? Now they will, so this will get cleaned up.
Yeah, but
maybe hitting some pretty good some splits, but now we have the army. The rest of it's coming on in. Banelings are going, or Widowmines are going to drill ahead of time. And, well, Raynor's actually going to take some decent connections, but it's not going to be good enough. 4th base will come under fire once again. Looks like it will get targeted down. Baneling's forcing splits, but I'm not convinced that that is going to be enough. Actually, you know what? These Baneling connections are going to be really good. Muta should be able to clean this up.
Yeah, but the thing is, he's having to defend with his entire army in one location. He can't afford to kind of rotate around and get these drops, which are just going everywhere. So every single time that Clem goes in on one location, he's got that small drop that Reynor just really can't deal with right now. The Muta count as well, he's never been able to get up to that critical mass where it's just a really scary ball. And I don't think Clem should let up the pressure right now. I think he needs to keep this attack going. Otherwise, he's going to give Reynor way too much time to get back into it. And yeah, from here, another big maxed out supply. He could open up the rocks, just make it a little bit easier to get into. But it looks like he's just going to take the long way around.
You know, Reynor has done a really good job of maintaining this creep shred, despite the continuous pressure that Clem is putting on him. And that is actually absolutely helping him out here. It is making, well, it is forcing Clem to scan to make sure that he doesn't lose too much. And that has given time for these mutas to find their way onto the other side of the map, maybe get some sort of counter damage. And you know what? The supply differential, it's terrible, absolutely. But we're at the point where if you have enough Banelings, of course, Link Bane trades pretty well on creep. There's this opportunity that maybe Raynor's going to be able to make a pretty good trade, but there is just too much here. The Banelings, they're not going to make the connections they need. And now, well, it's actually only a 30 army supply lead, so Clem does have to still be careful. These mutas not really getting what they want. And now with no Banelings here, not anymore Clem, he's going to take game 1. And we're, well, it's getting spicy.
I heard you press that button.
Yeah, control 2. Let's move to the out of game screen. It's just habit at this point, Passer.
I know. But yeah, excellent. Just a masterclass there from Clem. Like, he really just got that advantage very early on and never really let up. And that's how you kind of have to play versus a player like Reynor. Losing my mouse. So when we go into the next game, I will go get another battery for it. But yeah, just all things considered, I just have no words for it.
Yeah, honestly, I guess that game's a little bit of a little bit of karma, because I mean, realistically, Reynor did to Bjorn what Clem just did to Reynor in the game 1 of the previous series, where Reynor was in a position where he really should not have won it, and he just took one big fight and won the game. And Clem just kind of did the same thing. He just took this fight, he stemmed in before, you know, catching Reynor off guard just a little, and he won the game off of it. A game that realistically he was in a terrible position in. So yeah, it's just a little bit of karma. Terran's striking back.
You know what?
I'm saying I will defend my brethren here, and well, we have it. So as we move it into game 2, Clem's got that 1-0 lead.
Yeah, you know what? And I'm looking at the Ligulac page right now. Clem has been actually pretty dominant in all the times that these players have met up. The last time Reynor actually beat him was in October of last year. So that is a pretty good little stat for you. That Clem maybe a little bit more of a favorite in this series, but I don't know. Just after that dominating game, it's going to have to come down to how well can this guy come back into it. So without further ado, spawning in the top position of Oxide, he is Reynor.
And in the bottom left, in the blue, fighting for that 3rd place position, give it up for Clem.
All right, now I got to go get another battery for my mouse before it dies. So entertain the people.
All right, we're going to move on to a different observer to make sure that I see what's happening. As there we go, Inu doing some incredible work here, and I am interested. I'm excited to see exactly where we see Reynor go from here. We will not, of course, see the 19 drone Roach attack that we saw kill Beyond in game number 2, and that makes a lot of sense. In game number 2 of the previous series, that makes a lot of sense for several reasons. First, Reynor's down 1-0. So that's not the kind of build you do when you're down in a series. And B, Clem does not have this proclivity for just these extremely aggressive build or extremely greedy builds nearly as much as Beyond does. So, and actually, I wouldn't argue that Clem has the kind is quite as predictable. I mean, Beyond, he's a great player and he is an incredibly aggressive player. He can play defensively, but he can be pretty predictable. He just finds a style or he finds a build that he likes and he kind of keeps doing it. Maybe not to the level of innovation, but he likes to do that. So if Cyril has figured out, oh yeah, Beyond game 2, if he does this on this map, he's just going to go for this build. Well, why don't you punish it? Clem, though, I think he's got a little bit more variance in builds. And while REYNOR and Clem have played a lot more than REYNOR and Beyond have, well, if you don't have that certainty, then why would you do it? And now, so we do have the third base on the way here. It looks like the Reaper will be able to find it in time, but nope. REYNOR doing a really good job of just hiding that out. And well, the Reaper is not going to be able to shouldn't get too much done here. Of course, the math says that if you go for 4 Zerglings, you kind of expect to lose 1, and if you go for 6, you don't expect to lose any. And if you can avoid that, well, it's going to be pretty good for you. As actually, yeah, there we go. The 1 Zergling has died.
Yep.
Big shock.
1 down. Unfortunately, he doesn't really have the health to go for the Creep Tumor, which is kind of the holy grail of this first Reaper. But, you know, once again, Clem is going to be going for a more aggressive economic opening with that 3rd CC. That's just going to allow him to stay on par with REYNOR in terms of that economy. And there's so many different builds that you can go into off the back of that. And yeah, from here, the Reaper just going to be scouting around, trying to get what he can done. And we're going to see the Hellions start to pop.
Well, you know, Pastor, I can pretty confidently say that when we talk about build options here, Clem is not going back on this one. So I'm pretty certain about that one. I have seen nothing in this game that tells me that one way or the other, but this is Clem. And he plays I've seen him play mech once in my life, and it was on Lightshade. I think it was against REYNOR, actually, and he won the game, but that was more of a function of how good Lightshade is as a mech map than it is that Clem plays mech.
Yeah, you can really tell a Terran player is versatile when he can just pull out the mech whenever. You know, we've seen players like Hero Marine in terms of Europe, Euthermal, pull it out special, as well as one who sometimes dabbles it in, but it's just not as good as that aggressive potential of Bio, because you just allow your opponent to get up into that late game, and that's when it's really the scariest against the Zerg player, because they have that ability to just pump out units much quicker than you. And that's why most players do prefer that Bio style, even if they do try and go for, you know, some aggressive timings with these Hellions to start things off. Also, that Overlord. I'm yelling at my screen in my head for Clem to kill that. Thank you.
There we go. So this is going to be Hellion Banshee here, coming from our Terran player. And so REYNOR's aware of this. He is going for a Roach Warren here. What I'm curious, wow. Clem, though, he's not going to go for an armory. This is just going to be Hellion Banshee, not Hellbat Banshee, and that makes a lot of sense. I mean, he's been scouted. It's not like he's going to be able to get any sort of really big advantage from doing that. But what I want to see here, more importantly, is whether REYNOR has this Roach Warren just for a little bit of defense, in case that, well, it's a Hellbat timing once again, or whether he's going to play something closer to the Dark style, which is actually pretty cool. It's something he started doing as an evolution of the Lurker style, where you go, yeah, there we go, Roach speed is on the way. That's what we're going to see here, where you go 1-1 Roaches and just kind of go into really fast Hydras, really fast Lurkers, and you have the upgrades on the Lurkers. We do have the Hellions now. They're diving on in here, and there are not a lot of Zerglings, and there are, of course, 7 Hellions still on the map, so all the Zerglings will go down. We should see some Roaches. Well, actually, no, it's just going to be more Zerglings, because you need that build time. So 6 workers will go down immediately, and the Hellions, they're not dead yet. None of them have died. Wow. Only one of them has died, and now they're going to find their way into the 3rd base here. Now we're going to have to see, are we going to see an ad hoc wall? We will not. More and more of these drones go down, and this is not the situation that REYNOR has been looking for in the slightest, getting a little bit greedy, as he has Roach tech. Wait, where's that Roach Warren, though? Oh, it's in the natural. I was going to say, did he put this? This is an attempt to, like, hide the fact that he's going for Roaches, but no. Roaches in the natural. Clem did see that.
Yeah, now this is going to open the map up for REYNOR a little bit, just cleaning up those Hellions. That was most of Clem's map presence here. We still do have those banshees kind of hanging out. I kind of would have liked to see him just kind of go home with those Hellions, you know, because if he would have done that, he could have augmented his next big attack with them. And I feel like since REYNOR is focusing heavily on his Lings, he still doesn't have a Baneling nest. He still doesn't have really a lot of tech that deals with Hellbats effectively. Obviously the Roach Warren, but you know, he's only just now making Roaches. That would have made such a much scarier attack for him. As you know, I think the thing about Terran is versus Zerg players, like as soon as your first attack is done, you gotta have your second one geared up and ready to kind of roll out, just so that you make sure that REYNOR can't actually expand, he can't drone up, etc., etc.
Well, you know what? We talk about attacks being drilled up, and yeah, you know, is Clem attacking immediately? He's not, but he has added 3 extra barracks. He's going full 8 racks here, waiting for that 1-1 combat shield timing. And yeah, you might say, okay, well, Hellbats against Mutiling Bane, something like that. That is something that players like Beyond Innovation have actually been actively experimenting with to see whether they work. And actually, Innovation won a game like that against, I believe it was REYNOR in DreamHack Masters. But that is not what's happening here. This is 1-1 Roach. This is 1-1 Roach tech. And Hellbats do just about nothing to that. So we just now have a massive 8 racks attack coming on in here. Only 2 tanks with the army for the moment. And Clem does have to be careful that he's not just going to get absolutely surrounded. Because, I mean, with an 8 racks, you're looking for an army supply advantage. And when that happens, well, when you're going to 1-1 Roach max, that supply advantage will not necessarily be there as, well, yep, there we go. Clem, his first move out will be slapped aside. And the benefit of Oxide, you're pretty close to your opponent. And generally that is in the Terran's favor, absolutely. But in this case, when you slap the first push of Clem aside, well, now you got a bunch of Roach Ravager knocking at the door. But these Banshees are actually just going to be incredibly impactful as we do not have detection just yet. But now with these Queens, that should be taken care of. As there we go. So many transfuses left. So those Queens will not die.
Yeah, I don't
And now we have REYNOR.
I don't think Clem really has the production to kind of keep up with this anymore. 9 more Roaches on the production tab. All droning has stopped on 67. And yeah, this is just overwhelming numbers. Once he gets that concave in, the Siege Tank's not going to be able to really help out that much. That 1-1 doing wonders for him. The Biles as well, just damaging everything. But you know, Clem is actually starting to break through here, getting on top of those squishy Ravagers.
Oh, look at that. That is impressive. That is such good micro here from Clem now. He will be forced to back up for the moment, but we have more tanks rallying in. And this is, of course, an 8 racks from Clem here. He has the most possible production he could ever... That's interesting. It's 8 racks, but he's still taking a 4th base. This is the most production he could ever possibly have here on these 3 bases. This is him really trying to exert some pressure on his opponent. And as a result, that means he is in a relatively good position to deal with this, far better than if this was a 5 racks into a 4th base. Now, REYNOR still has a decent amount. He still has a lot of army here, but he's only up 20 army supply at this point. 2-2 is halfway done here for Clem. REYNOR has not started 2-2 in the slightest. So what this means is as long as Clem is able to survive another 30-45 seconds, his army will be that much better. He's going to stim on in once again, really doing a good job avoiding these Biles, but more importantly, he's knocking Ravagers out of the game. Ravagers are those units that you want to maintain fight after fight to make sure that you are able to take these positive trades, and Clem is not allowing that to happen as the tanks will siege up once again. Biles not on the second, actually not even killing the first, not long enough, and now the army of Clem, it is showing some dominance here. REYNOR, he is continuing to rally forward, and looks like he may be able to stay alive for the moment. Another tank will go down, but all the Ravagers in this army, they have been removed. Only 2 remain, and now this army supply lead, this 40 army supply lead that we saw just a little bit ago, now it's only 18, it's only 20. 2-2 is now done. Concussive shells are on the way, and we have tanks in constant production. Clem, he's looking in a good position to hold this game. He's a good position to hold this attack, and a good position to find himself in 3rd place in this entire tournament.
Yeah, definitely here. So he does have those +2. Roaches don't really scale that well versus the bio, especially when you do have that upgrade advantage. And now Clem, he's still down in supply. Don't make no mistake about that. He's down over 50 army supply here, but he just has so much good splash. He just got a beautiful connection right there. He's starting to get cleaned up a little bit, but the Siege Tank's still able to get so many good connections on. I don't think REYNOR is going to have enough here. The Ravagers, once again, just going to start to fall. The Lings going to do what they can, but oh my goodness. REYNOR is so all in with this, it's not even funny. Like, he's
Yeah,
just putting
REYNOR.
everything into this.
Yeah, REYNOR actually has less workers than his. Well, okay, now he's going to get on top of the third, and that's going to be a problem here. Oh, look at this Clem. He's dropping a couple units on top of that middle ground position that will allow. Well, we'll make sure that they are just able to fight for the rest of the game. Should Clem wish it. Really cool positioning there. But yeah, REYNOR, he's only on 65 workers. He has not been trading all that efficiently, and this does mean that now Clem has his fourth base. He has 2-2, plus 3 attackers on the way, and that will absolutely be the inflection point if we're not already here. REYNOR, though, he's doing a good job of keeping his supply up, and that is something that does have to be considered. But, I mean, look at this. Clem, he's on equal basis with the Zerg player. He's ahead on upgrades. Now, how many tanks do we have? We only have 1 tank on the map. It looks like Clem did let tank production lapse for the moment, as he was lacking in gas, which is actually one of the few times that you look at a Terran like, oh, they don't have enough gas. Gas doesn't actually tend to matter for Terrans all that much, but in this situation it does, as now Clem is going to stim on forward once again. And remember, these are 2-2 versus 1-1. This is an incredibly powerful bio army that REYNOR is just really trying hard to make sure that does not hit that critical mass. Clem, though, he's hitting that 150 supply inflection point, and that is where Roach is, for the most part, kind of what you look at with mech as well, but in this case, bio with 2-2 bio versus 1-1 Roach. That's that inflection point where suddenly the army that REYNOR has is not nearly as impactful. And there we go, 150 supply. Clem has hit that point. He's staying there now. He's not losing too much, although those biles will actually be really nice.
That was a great-looking biles here, but I don't know if it's enough because there is only pure Ravager left. So he's really relying on those biles to kind of wait out the reinforcements. Clem is actually a little bit supply blocked here because he lost those supply depots, but I don't know if it matters. The C-Tank coming in here, and Clem just stimming forward, eating the bile, but that is going to be it for our Italian Zerg players. Give it up for our third place finalist. Scan's going to be going down. Those are the GG scans saying you don't have a base, you don't have anything here. I'm about to top this pizza with a W.
Absolutely. REYNOR, unfortunately, going for an incredibly aggressive, almost all-in style in this game against an 8-Rax. And it's kind of this age-old idea where if you have 2 players and they're both going for an incredibly aggressive action option, an all-in option, whatever you want to call it, the player whose timing hits a little bit later is the more powerful one. And that is exactly what happened here with Clem. He had more production. He's still going super aggressive, but he had the more production. He was able to sandbag this attack just long enough to make sure that he's able to stay alive. Now, one thing I will say is all these manufacts are really low, so potentially, you know, we could have Queens go and get some sort of, be able to knock all those out of the map, and that might be a little bit thorny in the side of Clem here. And this Zerg thing run by will actually force Clem back for the moment, but to what end? We don't have a, we do have a Baneling done. No Baneling speed, though. And we do have +1 melee on the way here as REYNOR looks to get into a maybe a little bit longer, more sustainable army. I think at this point, honestly, I think I would have preferred a Hydra Den going on into Lurkers behind that. But, you know, this is what REYNOR has decided to go for. As Clem, once again, he can't take this fight. Not yet. Those biles are going to land. But, you know, here's the thing. REYNOR, he spent all of his biles on that. So we're going to have to wait for cooldowns to come down. And that just provides a timing for Clem to stim on in. Is he going to go back once again? This is a hard army to fight into because if the biles all land perfectly, I mean, Clem's army just dies. But we talked about army supply leads. Clem, he's now up 30 army supply instead of down 50 like he was. So now he's going to stim on in. All the biles have been dropped, and they will not land whatsoever. Now, Clem, here we go. This is the last shot. GG, Clem. He's going to take the series and secure third base. And once again, I hit the button.
I hear it, yeah. Oh, man.